Have you ever felt an odd itch and simply scratched it away without a second thought? Most of us have. A little irritation on the arm, scalp, or back. It seems minor, maybe caused by the weather, a shirt tag, or just age. But what if that small itch wasn't just a surface-level annoyance? What if it was your body's early attempt to whisper that something deeper might be wrong? As someone who has spent decades studying human health, I can tell you this with confidence. The body is incredibly intelligent. It constantly tries to communicate with us, not through words, but through sensation. And as we age, those signals often become more subtle, more easily dismissed. A persistent itch you've brushed off could in fact be the first sign of chronic inflammation, immune imbalance, or even a metabolic burden developing quietly beneath the surface. The truth is, as we get older, our skin is no longer just a protective outer layer. It becomes a reflection of our internal health. Hormonal changes, liver detox function, sleep quality, and chronic stress, all of these can begin to manifest externally as something as seemingly trivial as an itch. If we're not paying attention, we risk missing the opportunity for early intervention, the kind that can drastically change long-term outcomes. Have you ever noticed that when you're stressed, not sleeping well, or mentally overwhelmed, your skin starts to react? It becomes drier, more sensitive, and sometimes even itchy for no clear reason. That's a powerful example of how deeply our physical health and mental well-being are connected. When your mind is tense and fatigued, your immune system often follows suit, and when that inner defense weakens, the skin becomes the messenger, sounding the alarm. So instead of reaching for another itch cream or applying a quick-fix lotion, why not address the deeper causes? Hydrate consistently to nourish your skin from within. Eat foods rich in omega-3 salt and vitamin E to strengthen your skin's natural barrier. Learn to manage stress and give yourself time to truly rest. Small steps that can bring lasting change. Even something as simple as changing your laundry detergent, switching to softer fabrics, or finally getting a good night's sleep can make a world of difference. Today's video is not just about itching. It's about learning to listen, really listen to what your body is trying to tell you. These aren't just irritations to brush off. They might be the very first signs your body is offering you a chance to act early. And if you pay attention, you might discover that protecting your health starts with the smallest of signals, ones that show up on the surface, but reach far deeper inside. So let me ask you this: have you ever found yourself scratching your hands or feet, again and again, wondering why that itch just won't go away? It seems harmless at first. Maybe it's just dry skin, a little irritation from the weather. Perhaps your socks are too tight, or you're just getting older. But what if your body is trying to tell you something more urgent, something you shouldn't ignore? This kind of persistent itching, especially on the hands or feet, is one of those subtle signs that's easy to brush off, yet it could be the very first ripple on the surface of a much deeper current. In older adults, these sensations are surprisingly common. But here's the problem: they're often accepted as normal, another annoyance that comes with aging. That assumption is not only misleading, it can be dangerous when an itch refuses to go away, even after moisturizing or switching soaps. We have to ask a bigger question: what's happening beneath the skin? From a medical perspective, the body rarely sends a signal without a reason. And when it comes to chronic itching, especially in the extremities, one possibility that should always be explored is diabetes. High blood sugar doesn't just affect your energy and appetite. Over time, it affects your skin, your nerves, your blood flow, and yes, even how your brain processes sensation. The mechanism is surprisingly intricate. When blood sugar remains elevated over time, it draws moisture away from the tissues. The skin becomes dry, thin, and more prone to irritation, especially on the hands and feet, which are already more vulnerable due to less circulation. But this is only the beginning. As blood vessels begin to stiffen and narrow, circulation weakens. Nutrients and oxygen that your skin desperately needs for repair simply don't arrive in time. And as that damage accumulates, a new issue arises: nerve impairment. Diabetic neuropathy, a form of nerve damage common in people with poorly controlled blood sugar, can lead to odd sensations, tingling, burning, or relentless itching. Here's the cruel irony: scratching doesn't help. In fact, it often makes the problem worse, because the root cause isn't on the skin, it's deep inside the nervous system. You might feel like you're chasing relief that never comes, while unknowingly breaking the skin, creating small wounds. And in a diabetic body, wounds heal slowly, opening the door to infections, ulcers, and even more serious complications. Yes, something as small as an itch can, in time, lead to something as drastic as limb amputation. But diabetes is not the only possible source of this. Relentless discomfort, another hidden culprit. Biliary cirrhosis, a chronic liver condition that many have never even heard of in its early stages. One of the most telling symptoms is itchiness, especially in the palms and soles. But this isn't caused by dry skin or seasonal changes. It's caused by the liver's inability to properly drain bile. As bile acids back up into the bloodstream, they begin to irritate nerve endings in the skin. And again, the itch gets worse at night, interfering with sleep, mood, and even mental clarity. You see, the body doesn't separate physical discomfort from emotional distress. The more we itch, the more frustrated, restless, or even anxious we become. Over time, this creates a feedback loop where poor sleep, elevated stress hormones, and mental fatigue can worsen physical symptoms. This is why addressing the whole person, mind, and body is essential when it comes to chronic, unexplained symptoms like itching. So what can you do? First, listen. Your body whispers before it screams. Pay attention to symptoms that persist or seem to have no clear cause, especially if they appear alongside fatigue, slow wound healing, or numbness. Second, take action. Maintain balanced blood sugar through a whole food diet rich in fiber and low in processed carbs. Stay hydrated, not just for your kidneys and blood, but for your skin's natural barrier function. And protect your nerves with nutrients like vitamin B12, alpha-lipoic acid, and magnesium, all shown to support nerve health as we age. And perhaps most importantly, don't normalize discomfort. If itching disrupts your sleep, makes you irritable, or seems to worsen over time, talk to your doctor. Ask questions. Get tested for blood sugar, liver function, and inflammation markers. Early detection is not just about preventing complications. It's about reclaiming your sense of ease and control over your own body. Because that itch might not just be on your skin, it might be a message. And if you lean in and listen, you may just catch it in time. Have your eyes ever itched so persistently that even rubbing or rinsing doesn't bring real relief? Maybe it happens first thing in the morning, or maybe it creeps in at the end of a long day. A dry, uncomfortable irritation that just lingers. Most people chalk it up to allergies, dust, eye strain, or a poor night's sleep. But what if your body is using that itch right there? In your eyes is a subtle warning about something much deeper. As we discussed earlier, the body whispers long before it shouts, and just like persistent itchiness in your hands or feet may signal early nerve damage or metabolic stress, itchy eyes can be a soft, almost poetic way the body tells us the liver is under pressure now. I know for many the connection between the eyes and the liver may seem far-fetched. The eyes are delicate, exposed, and external. The liver, it's hidden deep inside, quietly working day and night to filter toxins, break down fats, and maintain chemical balance. But traditional medicine, modern hepatology, and even holistic approaches all agree the eyes reflect liver health more than we often realize. Let's break it down. When your liver becomes overwhelmed, whether from poor diet, chronic stress, certain medications, or underlying disease, its detoxification capacity begins to weaken. This means toxins that would normally be processed and flushed out start to accumulate in your bloodstream. And where do some of these toxins go first? To your eyes, through the tiny, sensitive capillaries and nerve endings that make up the rich vascular network surrounding the cornea and conjunctiva. What begins as dry eyes, mild redness, or a slightly itchy sensation may in fact be your liver raising its first red flag, especially in older adults. This discomfort can worsen at night or in dry environments, but the real driver may be internal inflammation, bile acid buildup, or oxidative stress from poor liver function. And that's what makes this so dangerous. It masquerades as something benign while a more serious issue brews silently beneath the surface. In conditions like early-stage liver fibrosis or biliary obstruction, the symptoms may remain invisible until your eyes start speaking for your body. As the liver fails to properly manage bile, those acids seep into circulation and irritate nerve endings in the eyes. Many patients I've worked with initially thought they had seasonal allergies, when in fact, they were entering the early stages of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or autoimmune liver dysfunction. But here's where the connection goes even deeper. Chronic liver dysfunction doesn't just affect physical systems, it affects your emotions and mental clarity too. Many patients with liver overload report not just itchy eyes but also foggy thinking, irritability, and poor sleep. Traditional Eastern medicine has long viewed the liver as the seat of anger, decision-making, and clarity. So when your liver is struggling, it can show up as both physical inflammation and emotional unrest. The mind and body are never truly separate. So what can you do today to support your liver and relieve those signals your eyes are sending? Start small, but be consistent. Drink enough clean filtered water each day to help your liver flush. That's out metabolic waste. Incorporate leafy greens, beets, turmeric, and lemon water, all shown to support liver enzymes and bile flow. If you drink alcohol, consider cutting back, especially if you notice recurring eye irritation. And perhaps most importantly, manage your stress. Cortisol overload impairs liver detoxification. Deep breathing, gentle walks, even 15 minutes of silence per day can begin restoring that balance. Also, be mindful of medications and supplements that may burden your liver over time. If your eye discomfort persists or is accompanied by other signs like fatigue, yellowing of the skin, dark urine, or nausea, do not delay, get a liver function test. Because what seems like just an itchy eye might actually be your body's early warning system, trying to save you from the damage of late detection. And remember, liver damage is often silent, but it's also largely preventable if caught early. So, the next time your eyes itch without a clear reason, pause. Don't just reach for eye drops. Ask yourself, is my body trying to tell me something? If you listen closely, the answer might be yes. Let me ask you something you might never have considered seriously. Have you ever experienced an unusual, lingering itch on your chest and simply brushed it off as something minor? Maybe you thought it was dry skin, a new detergent, a tight bra. But what if that itch, subtle, persistent, and unlike any you've had before, wasn't just skin deep? What if your body was sending you a signal, not of inconvenience, but of urgency? As we've seen in earlier discussions, symptoms that appear minor, whether it's itchy feet, dry eyes, or skin discomfort, often carry a deeper meaning. Your body isn't random, and when it comes to persistent itching in the chest area, particularly around the breasts, it's a sign that should never be ignored. Here's why. While many of us are taught to associate breast cancer with lumps, visible swelling, or changes in nipple appearance, there's a far more subtle sign that often goes unrecognized: chronic itching. In fact, in some women, and yes, even in some men, this may be one of the earliest signs of a rare and aggressive form of breast cancer known as inflammatory breast cancer, IBC. Unlike other types of breast cancer, IBC doesn't typically start with a lump. It infiltrates the lymphatic vessels in the skin, causing redness, swelling, thickening, and yes, intense itching. The breast may appear red, warm to the touch, or feel heavier. The texture of the skin may begin to resemble an orange peel. And that itch, it doesn't go away with moisturizer or antihistamines. Because the root cause isn't dry skin, it's cellular invasion. And here's the dangerous part. These symptoms can be easily mistaken for common skin conditions: eczema, dermatitis, or allergic reaction. People delay, they wait, they assume it's nothing. And in that waiting, IBC continues to advance, often rapidly. In fact, this form of cancer can progress within weeks. That's why early detection isn't just helpful, it's potentially life-saving now. Let's connect this to something broader. When your body is under threat, particularly from internal disease, the signals it sends are often subtle, emotional, and physical. Many patients with IBC report a strange emotional shift before the physical symptoms set in: increased irritability, sleep disturbances, and a quiet but persistent inner worry. That's no coincidence. The mind and body are in constant conversation. When your immune system is stressed, or when inflammation spreads unchecked, your mental clarity and emotional balance often respond first. So how do we respond wisely? First, trust your intuition. If something feels off, if an itch won't go away, or if your breast feels different than usual, speak up. Make the appointment. You don't need to wait until a lump forms. Second, know your own body. Self-exams aren't just for feeling lumps. Therefore, noticing color, temperature, skin texture, and sensation. Is something changing that wasn't there a month ago? That's a reason to check in. Third, reduce your risk by supporting your body's natural immune and hormonal balance. Focus on anti-inflammatory foods like leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, berries, flax seeds, and healthy fats. Avoid long-term exposure to endocrine disruptors found in some plastics and cosmetics. Stay physically active. Maintain healthy weight. These aren't cure-alls, but they give your body resilience, the foundation it needs to defend and repair itself. And most importantly, don't dismiss your body's voice. That itch, it may be mild, but it may also be meaningful. Cancer is never convenient. It rarely announces itself with blaring alarms. Instead, it begins with whispers, with quiet clues on your skin, in your sleep, in your mood. When we tune in, we give ourselves the best chance of catching it early. If you've been experiencing unusual itchiness on your chest, especially accompanied by redness, swelling, or changes in skin texture, don't wait. See a medical professional. Advocate for yourself. Ask for clarity. And if you feel uncertain, get a second opinion. Early action isn't overreacting, it's wisdom. And in many cases, it's what saves lives.